Today we are 3D printing and installing the rear wide body on the Panamera GT3. Alright guys, so last time we got the version 2 of the front fender installed. I'm really liking how it looks. I still have some tweaks to do for that, but it is getting pretty close. So I figured today we are going to move on to the rear, get something on the rear, and see how that looks in combination with the front. I think it'll help me make all of the final design decisions on both the front and the rear to get really the full look going instead of just having this huge gap with the wheel sticking way outside. And now I do have the rear wide body ready to go, so I will take you inside real quick and we'll go over the design. Alright, so here's the design of the quarter. I did make an effort to somewhat match the style of the front. You can kind of see in the front section it has a very similar shape. It's also similarly flat like this is, as opposed to the V1 of the front fender that was very round. So it has those same flat features. Now this looks odd down here because, like I said before, this is just a generic model of the car. And I did not design it off of that model. I designed it off of my actual scan. So if I bring in the scan here, and if I hide the car, you can see that it lines up perfectly. So I have it going down to the bottom of the door. And as I said, it looks very similar in that section. Now it's wider here because I don't have the cutout like I do here in the front. I didn't want to do that in the rear. So it does go out a bit wider than the front, but otherwise it's similar up through. Of course we have the door to deal with, so we actually have the split of the door. So I did my best to align that with the stock split from the door to the quarter. A two-piece design similar to how the front is a two-piece design with the piece that goes onto the bumper. And then it goes towards the rear of the car. You can see I blended this out instead of keeping it sharp here. So it really didn't look right keeping it sharp in the back. And I think in the front I will probably end up doing something similar that will then get rid of this area and actually blend it out and smooth it out back here. So then the front and the back will look very similar in style. So I think that looks a little nicer to just blend it out because then it matches the curve of the body here, and then it goes down, and then I have this cutback feature that is similar to a 911 GT3. So that's the idea there. I already know I'm gonna have to trim more of the bumper, but that's not a big deal. This is just plastic that doesn't even attach to anything, so I'll have to trim some more of that back. And I purposely didn't go overboard with bolts. You really don't need that many. The plastic definitely is not that heavy, and then if I make it out of fiberglass or carbon fiber eventually, it's not going to be that very heavy either. So you just need kind of enough bolts to make it secure. I don't have any on this back section just to keep it clean for now. I may add one in the future, but for the short term I can definitely just use some double-side tape if I really need it. I'm thinking for the prototype I won't need anything at all back there. So that's the overall design on the car. You can see I tried to kind of line up this top line with where that new taillight cover sits, so it kind of blends in nicely. And then it goes around the taillight, and you can see how it kind of gets wider versus the stock body. And then the same thing on this one. Obviously I had to split it up so I could fit it on my printer. I was able to get this in only 6 sections, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I will say this bottom one was like pretty much maxed out because this dimension from here to here was like 17 inches, and that was like, I had to put it diagonally on the printer to be able to fit it. And as I showed before, this is kind of the sections that I will actually print. So this one just has holes because I'll have the quarter 20 bolts going through that. But then if I show like the next section, this one has blind holes. That's where I'm going to put the heat set inserts so I can bolt those two together. And then the same thing as you go back further, so that like this is the last section, pretty much the largest one. I do have 6 holes here because that is attaching to 2 different sections, and it's a pretty long part there. So that is the design of the rear quarter, and now we've got 6 prints so we can start bolting it together.